Hello and welcome to a new vlog. Welcome to my channel. It's nice to have you here. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. I hope you'll stick around. Welcome to the weekend. It is Saturday. It is the day after the massive storm that we had yesterday. That will have been in the last vlog. Oh my goodness. Once again, it's like the next day there's not a cloud in the sky, just some like wisps of cloud mist out this window, and that's it. Bright blue sky, tons of sun. It's just amazing. You would not guess that like this massive thunderstorm rolled through yesterday. I am going to enjoy a cozy day here in the apartment, just relaxing and reading. So it's going to be a fairly reading heavy, book heavy vlog. I'm going to spend today reading. Tomorrow I'm going over to the house, so I'll take you with me for that because next week is just really busy. Monday is the only day Mom and I can go grocery shopping together, and so then there's really no other day next week that I can go over to the house. So I'm going to go on Sunday tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. So today I've let myself sleep in. It was fantastic, and I've just been having a slow morning. So I got up at about 11, but it is now a little bit after noon, so I'm gonna get some breakfast and get some coffee and go crawl back in bed on top of the covers and just have an early afternoon, 2 or 3 hours ish of reading and relaxing in bed. I do want to chat to you guys today about all the books that I have read recently that I haven't managed to update you on. I feel like I've mentioned titles here and there, and I've mentioned a couple books that I've told you my final thoughts, but there were a few books, several books, that just I wasn't vlogging when I finished reading them, and so I never talked to you guys about them. Before I do that, I want to eat and have my coffee and get a little bit further into the book that I have started reading over the last couple days. I want to try to finish that book by the end of tomorrow. There will probably be some writing stuff. I do want to try to work on my outline for Across the Pond, and I also want to try to edit at least one chapter today, at least one chapter this whole weekend, if not one today and one tomorrow. It should be a nice cozy time. So grab something nice to drink, maybe a snack, get curled up on the couch or in your bed, wherever you watch my videos. Maybe you're working at your desk and I'm keeping you company while you work. Get cozy and relaxed wherever you're at. Let's spend the next 30 minutes or so together. It is a little bit after 3. It's just been such a lovely day. It's time that we do a kind of book update because I've read quite a few books that I haven't really talked to you guys about. I've got Goodreads opened up. I've got a few books stacked beside me. I think the last book I really talked about in a vlog was Meet Me in London by Georgia Toffelo, I think her name is. Really cute. If you're starting to make a list of books to read this Christmas, I would definitely put that book on it. I really enjoyed it. It was nice to have a little bit of Christmas in the middle of July. It's set in London. What more could I want? The next book I read was My Paris Romance by Olivia Spring. I've read 2 other books by Olivia, including one that was a novella kind of prequel to My Paris Romance. So that was called One Lucky Night, and I think I read that at the very end of last year during the last holiday season because it's set at Christmas time in London. So again, like instant purchase for me. Really, really enjoyed that. And then My Paris Romance is kind of the continuation of that story. If you like steamy, sexy rom-coms, definitely check out that book. I'd start with One Lucky Night and then read My Paris Romance. Loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the plot. Really great romance. Really funny in places. Really steamy in other places. But overall, just a really good romance. So really enjoyed that. The next book I read was a little bit different. I haven't read a contemporary / historical women's fiction in a long time, and that's The River Between Us by Liz Fennick. Really loved this book. Just devoured it in like 2 or 3 days. It's set between 2 different time periods, so it was interesting the way it was divided up. Great romance in the past section, a little bit less of a romance, more women's fiction in the present day chapters, but really interesting mystery throughout, like of what happens with the characters. Yeah, just a really, really interesting book. Like, I don't feel like it's straight up women's fiction, but it's also not straight up a mystery. It's not really a romance, but there is romance in it. And it's just a really great storytelling. I've never read anything else by the author. I'm really tempted to read other stuff by the author. Yeah, just really, really enjoyed that book. The next book I read is one that I can hold up, and that's The Switch by Beth O'Leary. I loved this book so much. It's the second book I've read from Beth O'Leary. I need to read her other ones because we're now 2 for 2. I loved The Flat Share. I loved this. I'd say this one is different from The Flat Share. I think, again, the style and the voice is very similar, but the plot is different. And so if you liked the overall voice of The Flat Share, but maybe just weren't as interested in the plot, I'd give The Switch a chance because it was so flipping cute and heartwarming and endearing, and I loved all the characters. I loved the grandmother character almost more than I liked the younger main female character. So Eileen is newly single and about to turn 80. So she's the grandmother. Lena is a young 20-something living in London who's just blown a huge presentation at work and is basically forced to take a 2-month mental health break by her boss. Talk about things that would never happen in the US. You'd just be fired. Like, yeah, anyway, sidetrack. So they switch places. Eileen moves to Lena's flat in London, and Lena moves into her grandmother's house up in a tiny Yorkshire village. And yeah, just the characters in the village, but then also the characters in Lena's apartment building in London. They all live in like a converted warehouse, and so all the other neighbors, the roommates in her flat that the grandmother now is getting to know. It's just, there's a really brilliant ensemble cast of characters in this book that I just really loved. But I loved the journeys that both characters go on, especially Eileen, and I love seeing an older character, like an 80-year-old character, getting this like second chance at romance and adventure and stuff. So I just loved everything about this book. If you're looking for something just fun and relaxing to read, I'd give this one a go. I loved this one so much. Then I listened to The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, but a friend of mine had recommended it. She told me, you have to read this book. And she'd just finished reading it, and she was like, you have to read this book. So I thought, okay, I'll add it to my list. And then I saw someone online on Instagram talking about it, and they mentioned, or no, I think it was in a book club I'm in on Facebook. Someone said that they just finished listening to it and that they loved the story, but they really recommended the audiobook because it almost was like reading or listening to like a 1930s, 1940s radio play, which I'm all about that. Like, that sounded really cool to me. So I found it on my library and put the audiobook on my holds list like 3 or 4 months ago. It took a while. Finally came available and I started listening to it. It is the fastest I have ever listened to an audiobook. I could not stop listening to it. And I was finding myself doing stuff around the apartment just so that I could turn it on and listen. It's just captivating. It's not at all what I was expecting, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I don't want to give anything away, but oh my goodness, it just loved it. And I would really recommend doing the audiobook because, yeah, it's really, really good. Around that time, I was also reading Intuitive Editing. I'm not going to get into that too much because I've already kind of talked about it. I highly recommend that book. Even if you are a little bit more experienced with editing, there's still some good stuff mixed in. Like some stuff I already knew, some stuff was a new way of thinking about, and other stuff I'd never thought about before. So really enjoyed that book. Then some of these nonfiction books were being read at the same time. Like this next book I read while I was also reading My Paris Romance, River Between Us, The Switch, like all of these books. And that's the book of Hugo, The Danish Art of Contentment, Comfort, and Connection. And this is by Louisa Thompson Britz. This is probably the best book on Hugo I have read ever. And I've read quite a few now. This is now, like, anytime someone wants to know more about Hugo, this is going to be the book I recommend. I feel like everyone talks about The Little Book of Hugo by Mike Viking, but that's a very, for me, from what I can remember, that was a very surface level. This goes much deeper, and this really gets into Hugo as a way of living and as a lifestyle rather than just ways of bringing more bits of Hugo into your life. It's such a beautiful book. It's very well written. I will probably reread it again. I've page flagged the heck out of it so that I can kind of just randomly stop on random pages and see what I found on that page that I really liked. And yeah, just loved this book so much. After finishing Intuitive Editing, the next writer-author book I read was The Heroine's Journey by Gail Carriger, I think is her name. That was fascinating. And I would recommend that book even if you're not a writer. If you are just a fan of reading and a fan of books and a fan of pop culture, I would really recommend reading that book and learning more about the heroine's journey as it is used in books, films, and TV shows. She uses a lot of films and TV shows as examples, and I just found the whole book just so fascinating. Absolutely loved it. Really, really interesting and really helpful as a writer, but I think even if I wasn't a writer, like just as a reader, I would have found that book really interesting. Then I read Love and Other Great Expectations. I did talk about that in a previous vlog, but highly recommend it. Really cute YA romance, a lot of coming of age, self-discovery themes, but also really fun literature-based scavenger hunt throughout the UK. What is not to love? So really enjoyed that. I finished another book of poetry. This is All This Wild Hope by Sabina Laura. Really enjoyed this. Loved this as much as I loved Moonflower, if not slightly more. And I really, really, really enjoyed this one. Then the last novel that I read was The Village of Lost and Found by Allison Sherlock. I did briefly mention that, I think, in the last vlog. Really enjoyed it. I've read a previous book by Allison Sherlock set in the same village. Loved that one, so I kind of knew I was going to like this one. And yeah, really fun group of characters, really fun story, and just really great kind of cozy small town romance if you're looking for one of those. Now, what I am currently reading is The Beekeeper at Elderflower Grove by Jamie Admons. This is like the 4th or 5th Jamie Admons book that I'm reading. I absolutely love her books. They are definitely cozy romances. I know that's not technically a genre, but I want to make it a genre. Like, cozy mysteries are a thing. Why can't cozy romances be a thing? And I feel like cozy romances are different from clean or sweet romances. So yeah, cozy romance. making it a thing. Her books are that. There's always the slightest element of magic to them, and they're just so much fun. So I'm about halfway through that one right now. I'm going to do some more reading from it in a little bit, but first I want to try to do some editing in Independent Hearts 2 and probably work on book stuff for the next hour, and then at about 4:30 I'll switch back to reading. So that's the update on what I've been reading lately. Hopefully some of those books sound appealing and you'll look them up. Let me know if you have already read some of those books or if you are wanting to read some of these books. I'd love to know. And yeah, I'm going to light a candle and get myself back in editing mode and get some work done and then get back to reading. It's now Sunday, and it is a remarkably cloudy Sunday as well. Still warm, but only 86, but really, really humid. I stayed up a little too late reading last night. I finished, before dinner, I finished The Beekeeper at Elderflower Grove. Super cute, adorable, endearing, is just everything you expect from a Jamie Adams book. Really, 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 really enjoyed it. Thought it was funny, but mostly just really kind of cozy and heartwarming and romantic. And yeah, really good. I finished that before dinner and then made some dinner, watched some YouTube, just kind of relaxed, and then got in bed about 10, a little bit after 10, and I'm now reading The Summer Island by Natalie something. I can't remember. But I've previously read The Christmas Island, which is technically the second book in, I don't know if it's going to be a series or just a duology, but I read that one first at the very, very end of last year. It was my last book of 2021. Finished it at like 6 o'clock on New Year's Eve and really, really loved it. So I knew I wanted at some point this year to come back and read The Summer Island. I really wanted to read it this summer. I'm already loving it. I knew I would. I like these books. They're set on an island off the coast of Norway. I don't know, they mention Bergen. But yeah, it's just, I love, you all know I love reading books set in London or the English countryside. Like anywhere in Europe I'm happy with. And very few people seem to set their books in Norway. English-speaking authors I'm talking about. I'm really enjoying the book. It's been transporting me to, you know, this island off the coast of Norway, and it's really cool. Anyway, I am going to get on the road, get over to the house. Let's get driving, and we'll go see the dogs and my parents. All right, it is 6:23. I've actually been home for a little while. I didn't stay for dinner. It started getting really stormy out, and I think I got some clips of that, taking the dogs out to the backyard. And Mom and I were watching Escape to the Country, so we finished watching that episode, and I thought, you know, we'll just see. And it was just getting stormier instead of less stormy outside, and so I was really worried that it was going to just hit. I decided to just leave early, so I kind of left in a hurry. And it so far hasn't rained over here. I don't think it's really started pouring over at the house, but it is very stormy out still. It's just really dark clouds. So just not quite knowing what directions the storm was moving and what cells might form over the next couple hours. I just didn't want to risk it, so drove home. But yeah, it's been a nice day. It's been a nice day. I'm glad I got to see the dogs and the family. Mom and I got to at least watch one episode of Escape to the Country in Cornwall, which that was really cool. Yeah, anyway, enough rambling. I'm gonna go and enjoy a nice quiet evening. It is just past 9:30. think I've got time for like 1 or 2 more YouTube videos, and then I'm gonna get in bed and read. I have made a mug of peppermint tea. My Fort Emmett Mason, my like good peppermint tea. It's not cheap, but it's really good. And I have this thing where this is totally the type of tea that I would save for a special occasion. And I would save it and save it and save it. Maybe let myself have 1 cup here and there, but still ultimately be saving it. But it has a best by date of like March of next year, so like 7 months away. So like I can't save it for that long. And obviously the faster I use it, the fresher it will have been and the better it will taste. So I've been trying to like just convince myself to just drink the tea. I've been having stomach problems. It's stress and anxiety. Like that's really all that it is. And a few nights ago, I made a mug of fresh mint tea and realized it actually helped, because peppermint is good for digestion. And I've used peppermint for that purpose in the past. I've had like mint tea for that purpose in the past. So I know it helps. But it's the funny thing about stress and anxiety in particular, it makes you forget things. And so I always forget peppermint tea would be a really good thing to have. And now I want to kind of just get myself into, if not a nightly habit, then an every other night kind of habit, but just making myself a cup of hot mint tea in one of my lovely mugs. Yeah, so that's what I've done. I've made myself a nice cup of tea. I am definitely more of a coffee drinker, like throughout the day. Like first thing in the morning, I will not have a cup of herbal tea. I will make a cup of coffee. But I am starting to feel a lot more ready for fall, as I've talked about in the last couple of few vlogs. So I feel like tea in the evening is a good part of that. So I'm going to enjoy this. But yes, I'm going to wrap this vlog up here. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. If you have, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed, all of that great stuff. Really appreciate it. Say hi in the comments, let me know how you're doing. I'd like to know, are you a tea drinker? Do you like to drink tea morning, afternoon, evening? If so, what kind of tea do you like to drink? Do you have any recommendations of teas that I should try? Yeah, I'd love to know, who are my fellow tea drinkers? If you're not a tea drinker, what do you like to drink? Are you more coffee, something else? Do you do smoothies? Like what's your like thing to either get you going in the morning and or calm you down in the evening? I'd like to know. For me, it's coffee in the morning, tea in the evening. So I'd like to know for you. I will talk to you all very soon in the next vlog. Thank you very much for watching this one. Bye!